The youth leader noted that era of voting based on party lines are long gone, as what Nigeria needs now is a leader who would upturn the negative economic downturns and bring about true growth for all and sundry. Road, a major commercial route running through at least 3 local government areas in Akwa Ibom State. They also pledged to construct Ndia a Cotton Fund Road, even as they vow to run an all-inclusive government where decisions concerning the people will be based on consultations when he becomes the next governor. While on the YPP ward-to-ward governorship campaign in Nsit clan of Nsirubium, Oba pledged to enhance small and medium-scale businesses for women as well as facilitation of industry drivers that will create an enabling environment for investors. Oba, who is currently sponsoring over 481 students in the universities, told the people that he knows the value of education as an important driver in human development. Hence, he will return bursaries to Akwa Ibom students. Oba reiterated his plan to build health facilities within 1 kilometer radius across the state to bring health care closer to the rural people. On his part, the state party chairman Apostle Enen Nsit, while introducing the senator, called on the people to vote for competence and credibility. Earlier, the YPP candidate and his team had stopped over at the palace of the paramount ruler Ntenyen Solomon took to pay homage before moving to the campaign ground. To the national scene now, where the federal government may reportedly present a supplementary budget to the National Assembly due to a further depreciation of the naira and galloping inflation that have made the 2023 budget nearly unrealistic. The 2023 budget benchmarks the foreign exchange at 435 naira per dollar and inflation at 17.10%. But the severe scarcity of dollars means that the local currency may head for 500 naira per dollar in the NFX market and up to 1,000 naira per dollar in the parallel market in 2023. According to reports, dollar closed 895 naira in both Lagos and Abuja parallel markets, spiking fears of 1,000 naira per dollar by December. Similarly, floods and global crisis due to Ukraine-Russia war could further worsen inflation and poverty in the country, making the projections untenable. Meanwhile, the National Assembly is built to go ahead with consideration and passage of the budget as proposed in the appropriation bill laid before it by President Muhammadu Buhari, despite the major difference in the exchange rates. In the meantime, the federal government says it plans to introduce more sin taxes and cut down on tax incentives in 2023 through the proposed 2022 finance bill. This was according to a copy of the public presentation of the 2023 proposed budget by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed, which disclosed that the sin taxes would be introduced to fund critical health care in the country. According to reports, a sin tax is levied on specific goods and services that are considered harmful or costly to societies, such as tobacco products, alcohol, and gambling ventures. They are introduced to deter people from engaging in socially harmful activities and behavior while providing revenue to the government. In education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU criticized the payment of partial salaries for the month of October. In his reaction, ASUU chairman, University of Lagos branch Dele Ashiru, described the October salaries as amputated and crippled payments, noting that academics had been demanding improved welfare among other concerns. The reports say many academics, however, maintained that receiving partial salaries was not clear if it was a coordinated action from the federal government. And while as part of efforts to address the issue, ASUU has reportedly set to summon an emergency meeting of its National Executive Council. Recall that a strike action was held off by the union on October 14th after 8 months in respect of a Court of Appeal order. Away from that, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has called for a special budgetary allocation for the recently designed National Flood Response Plan to relieve the victims of flood disasters across the country in the future. The Director General DG of the agency, Mustafa Habib, in Maiduguri, described such budgetary allocation as a required political will and investment in disaster risk reduction activities. Represented by a Deputy Director of the agency, Mohammed Kana, the DG was in Maiduguri to present donations by NEMA to victims of the 2022 flood disaster in Borno State. You're listening to the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. Let's take a breather and then bring you more stories from our foreign sports and entertainment scenes. To stay with us.
Locked in core values. Planet 101. Luyo.
Following Russian attacks on its energy network. Recall that in recent weeks, Russia has carried out large-scale missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian power facilities. The strikes come as officials say Russian troops are likely to withdraw from the key southern city of Kherson. President Zelensky said that a third of the country's power stations have reportedly been destroyed. The Ukrainian government has been forced to urge the population to try and use energy sparingly as a result. In sports, FIFA has written to all 32 teams competing at the World Cup, telling them to now focus on football following a controversial build-up. Host Qatar has been criticized for its stance on same-sex relationships, its human rights record, and its treatment of migrant workers. The letter urges that football should not be dragged into ideological or political battles, and it should not be handing out moral lessons. Still in sports, Barcelona's Gerard Piqué announced his retirement after a decorated career, saying the moment has come to end his journey. The 35-year-old posted on Twitter that Saturday's match against Almeria will be his last at the Estadio Camp Nou. The veteran defender bows out with 4 Champions League titles and the 2010 World Cup and Euro 2012 with Spain. Now, on the entertainment scene, popular actor Yul Edochie has declared that he has the calling to be one of God's preachers. The movie star recently took a second wife, Julie Austin, after welcoming a son with her maid, The Stone, in a video which has since gone viral. Yul, speaking about his divine calling, claimed that he has had it for a long time, noting that he has always thought it was just not the right time to fully embrace it. It's been the news on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM. But before we go, a recap of the major stories. Government may reportedly present a supplementary budget to the National Assembly due to a further depreciation of the Naira and galloping inflation that have made the 2023 budget nearly unrealistic. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has criticized the payment of partial salaries for the month of October. ASUU is reportedly set to summon an emergency meeting of its National Executive Council. We also brought to news that the governorship candidate of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, in Akwa Ibom State, Obong Bassey Albert, Oba, has promised to dualize Enen Nsit Road, a major commercial route running through at least 3 local government areas in Akwa Ibom State. On the foreign scene, we told you that Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused the Kremlin of resorting to energy terrorism as Russian troops make few gains on the battlefield. In sports, reported that FIFA has written to all 32 teams competing at the World Cup, telling them to now focus on football following a controversial build-up. For comments and coverage of newsworthy events, call an 0812 770-2940. That is 0812-770-2940. Visit our website on planet11fm.ng and follow us on Twitter at planet_11fm. You can also like our verified Facebook page at planet11fm. Uyo. The news was edited by Jane Owa. As we end the news, remember that nature has given us all the pieces required to achieve exceptional wellness and health, but has left it to us to put these pieces together.